Welcome everyone, welcome. So tonight's live is about Trump's got this plan in terms of, is he after the Canadian gold? Is that why he wants to make that the 51st state? You know, if this happens, this just changes everything for Canada as well as the USA. So today's live, I'm going to be talking about that in more detail, but I'm also referring as well to the gold and silver markets, the stocks. So Canada's wealthiest gold mine is what I'm talking about today, because this is part of a 10-part series, and it is a major gold mine. It has stocks and investments, is absolutely huge. So imagine the map of Canada, right? And you've got, like, on this map there's these regions where the gold mines are. You would see quite a lot of gold mine minerals. A lot of wealth is actually in Canada, for example. So this is a 10-part series, and on this video today is part of the world's wealthiest gold mines and why Canada is a global gold mining powerhouse. When I say powerhouse, I mean a powerhouse. So today, the price of gold currently at the moment is just at the 3,000 mark per ounce, for example, and it is surging, it's growing. So there's more demand for gold and silver, for example. And do you really think that if you owned a gold mine, would you be interested in holding mining stocks, knowing what you know today? Have you ever looked at this? So welcome, my name is Christine Crowell, and today I am covering a 10-part series where I'm talking about the world's wealthiest gold mines and silver mines as well. And Canada is a major gold mine. Now, I'm going to highlight to you the biggest gold mines that they own, for example. And this matters, especially to, I believe, the Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to list these mines. There's the Canadian Malartic, Quebec. That is one of the mines, for example, and it is one of the largest open pit mines, and it is critical to Agnico Eagle's portfolio. So you can see, you're going to start to see the reasons why, you know, Canada wants to be its own country, and it's done well for so long, and they also seem very friendly, kind people as far as I'm concerned, and that's just my personal opinion. But the second mine also is called the Detour Lake, for example, and that's in Ontario. It's called Agnico Eagle. So this, imagine, right, if you was looking at this from a satellite view image, you would see the Detour Lake mine from that image, for example. So the investments here is that there is strong expansion here, which makes it a much watched stock. The third mine is Barrick Gold. And this is, imagine again the visual of the footage where you're looking at the Hemlo gold production. So one of Barrick's longest running gold mines. Now remember I mentioned about Warren Buffett, how he invested in Barrick Gold, for example. The fourth one is called Musselwhite, Ontario New Mount. Again, underground minage that happens here, and you can just imagine that as well. So part of this is that it is a premium Canadian asset. They've got lots of assets that is worth a lot of money, a lot of income, a lot of wealth, a lot of growth. The next one, number 5, is the Bruce Jack, which is the British Columbia New Crest New Mount, for example. And this is high-grade gold rock samples. So this is known for extremely high-grade gold deposits. There's quite a lot of gold mines here. The next one is Quebec, New Mount, called Elinor, can't pronounce it right. Elimore in Quebec. It's New Mount. Now, this had challenges of operating in remote areas. And I believe that when I spoke about Australia, Kalgoorlie, for example, that was a remote area, and that was challenges that they were facing. And that's why I believe they built the community, so that people wanted to move closer there, and it created jobs, and it helped schools, it helped the community, for example. So maybe this is possibly what's lacking here, that there's challenges of operating in those remote areas. Like, for example, Kalgoorlie, it was really hot. So, working out in really extreme heat can be very difficult, for example. So they built a community. The next one is Macassa, Ontario. And this is the Agnico Eagle, for example, one of Canada's richest gold veins that exist here. The next one is Maladine non-volt, for example, and this is also the Agnico Eagle, for example. So the talking points here is that the future of mining is in non-volt, for example. So look out for that. Mining stocks, we need to look out for that, because as you can see, let's be honest here. Let's truthfully be honest here. There is all of these governments, they're all racing for gold and silver, aren't they? They're not chasing cash, because the currency is devalued so much because of inflation, etc. But they know with gold and silver it holds its price. So why shouldn't you have a piece of that pie too? Why should you not have that? Silver starts at $35 for an ounce, for example. Gold currently at the moment it's gone up to 3,000, for example, per ounce, for example. And it will keep going up, but I believe that silver is going to actually be the tortoise and actually win the race because of the demand, for all of this industry and the manufacturing and building work that's going to be needed, the AI, the EV, the electronic vehicle batteries, the renewable energy, the data centers, the AI chips, the robots, solar panels, tech. So much that silver is needed for, and there is no substitute currently at the moment. I bet you they're probably working on that, but can you see why all of this is happening where people are like, the government seem to be after the minerals and the gold and the silver, and because they want to dominate. That is the new monetary system. They know that it's highly valuable. So now is the time to start looking and really investing in this. And some of you have, that you've been ahead of the game and you've done that, for example. But if you haven't, it's not too late. Now is the time to start doing it. Even if you buy one coin a month at $35, for example, and by the 12th month, you would have 12 coins, for example. But look at this not as a quick, get rich quick scheme, you know, like gold rush type of thing. Look at it as a 5 to 10 year plan, for example, for your future. So which gold mines have you been most interested in? I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section here. Have you visited any of these gold mines? Because I'd love to know your take on it as well. Have you invested in gold mine stocks, for example? So let's get back into Canada, because we're now in Canada. We're traveling around the world online and talking about Canada. So the top gold mining stocks in Canada at the moment, and this, let me just say something. I am not a financial advisor. I am not qualified to do so. So you need to speak with a financial advisor that is qualified to talk to you about stocks and shares. You speak with a reputable one. But I will also put a link here of the big organizations that do it, for example. Okay, so Canada, it dominates gold mining, and it also has high dividend stock as well. The stock performance is very good as well. Barrick Gold, remember I mentioned about Warren Buffett, how he invested in Barrick Gold, as well as he brought 3,500 tons of silver bars, for example, but he's also invested in Barrick Gold, for example. So this is like copper, gold, synergy. It's for long-term growth, for example. Newmont. This is another one to watch out for. The biggest gold mining company in the world. There's also Wheaton Precious Metals to watch out for. Royal Model, less risk, consistent profits. And then B2B Gold, for example. Exploration Potential, Cash Flow Machine. So what stocks do you currently think is undervalued? I'd love to hear your comments below. So gold price and market impact. How the global economy is shaping Canadian gold mining, for example. So gold is nearly $3,000, like I said, just hitting that. So what's the driving price? Inflation is the driving price, for example. Central banks, they're all buying these gold and silver bars, coins, whatever they can get their hands on. Also, the weak Canadian dollar, just like how America is and the UK, you know, it's not just Canada, it's everywhere, for example. This boosts Canadian miners' revenue in USD. So what do you think the predictions for gold stocks are going to be for 2025? Canadians' gold mining industry is shifting fast. And here's what's new. There has been some layoffs, but there's also been some expansion as well for the underground development. There is an exploration boom, which is new drilling starting to happen, for example. So would you invest in gold stocks now? Knowing what you know and doing your research and speaking, if you need to speak with a financial advisor to really get the feedback on things, then, you know, that's the best thing to do as well. But gold and silver, you cannot go wrong. Physical gold and silver I'm referring to. So do your research when you're looking at these mining stocks and see how it works. And don't worry, I'm going to be going into it. I'm going to try and get some professionals on here to talk about it as well. So if you want to receive more gold investing insights, then subscribe to the channel. Okay, we are going to be providing a private gold investors group as well. But I'm going to put some links here. I am an affiliate, so I get paid for, if you buy gold or silver, I get a small commission, very small commission, for example. But let's look at investing. Let's look at what we can do. Gold and silver, physical gold and silver. I'm not talking about, you know, paper at the moment. Look at the top Canadian gold stocks and gold mines like Barrick, Barrick, which is where Warren Buffett invested a lot of money in that. He used it as an hedge, for example. There's the Eagle, there's the Newmont Insights as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can invest by looking at what stocks they are and what prices they are and how it works and things like that, which is really important. So sometimes I look at this like a spy thriller, because you've got the US and China. It's like they're playing a 4D chess game over Greenland, over the 4.7 trillion treasure. So who truly owns this? Will Trump well, he does want them, but will he win to try and get to their rare minerals and their gold, for example? Think about it. Because Canada has a lot of gold. It is very wealthy. And this is the reason why I believe that the Americans are after it. So, you know, why does Trump, why is he after the gold? Why? Is it the gold he's after? What do you think? What do you think? There's so much that they have to offer on their land that they own, that it is very, very valuable, for example. So what do you think about the Canadian gold mines? What do you think about the Canadian stocks, the TSXs? what do you think about their Eagle stock, their Barrick gold stock, Canadian mining stocks? What do you think about that? Because I'd love to hear your thought, your processes, whether you already investing in this already, whether you've started doing this, whether you're currently researching, for example. Because whilst you're able to do this research and you find something that you want to purchase, then now is the time to do it. But like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. You must seek legal advice, for example, because you make that choice. This is a 10-part YouTube series on wealthiest gold mines around the world. And Canada's gold mine is huge. It's a gold empire. And I'm here to talk to you about the hidden truths of Canada's richest mines as well. Just like I'm going to be talking about all of the gold mines, silver mines around the world. So what is your thought process of, do you think that there's the geopolitical stakes here? Why the US is fighting over Canadian gold? Why do you think that is? Quebec is a monster open pit. It is huge. And how this mine digs up 3 million in gold daily, and I'm going to say that again, $3 million in gold daily, for example. Is it blood gold? The dark side of Canada's mining boom? Do you remember years ago? There was the blood diamond, for example. Is this a controversy with the indigenous land disputes, environmental costs? The mine that sparked nationwide protests? The robot miners. AI could be taken over for doing the mines, for example, the robots. So the drill, the AI exploration, and why humans may never go underground again, because it's not safe, is it? It's very, very hard and difficult to get into those, tight spaces, and slippery, and water, and lots of dangerous things that could happen. So let's look at this. In 1990, Yellowknife Gold smuggler's ring. Think about how 50 million in gold just vanished from the Arctic, for example. This is a billionaire's playground. Canada's private gold clubs. How mining tycoons profit. And why the ultra rich hoard mining shares. And that's why it would be good for you to look at the mining shares option, because there's the physical gold, but there's also the mining shares option as well. So look at all of these things, for example. There's also they call it the mining in the Canadian Arctic. This is a treasure, for example, that how miners have survived 50 Celsius to extract gold. That's too hot. It's not safe. So just look out though for fake scams to do with gold mines, okay? And the future of gold, will Canada run out? What is the big picture? New discoveries versus declining reserves. Scientists say that they possibly have 15 years left. So they've got to keep looking for new gold, for example. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments here, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, because as you know, America is suddenly become obsessed with Canada, the gold mines. And Trump's interest in Canada, 200 billion gold reserves. He wants to make it the 51st state. But Canada is saying, no, you're not having, it's not going to happen, for example. So look at the gold stocks. See whether they're skyrocketing. Watch how they are. This is a long-term plan. This is not something, like I said, a get-rich-quick scheme. Like I said, Warren Buffett invested in Barrick Gold, for example. Check that out, for example. And you got to look at the mining giants as well. There's different grades of the gold that seems to be more valuable than the other, for example. And I just wanted to draw to your attention. I'm going to put a link here for gold. I'm also going to put here the free gold stock watch list, for example, as well as the updates, for example, that you need to be aware of, for example. So should Canada keep its gold, or will Trump force a takeover? Comment below. So I've explained to you about the gold mine in Canada, the number of gold mines that they have, and I hope that you found this helpful for you today, and that you've been able to learn a bit about Canada. Tomorrow I'm going to be covering Denmark and Greenland. I think it's tomorrow, for example, because again, USA, Donald Trump seems to be after that as well, as far as I know. As far as what he's saying, he's telling us this. It's not something that I'm guessing. It's there in the news. But think about if these governments and these large government banks, etc., banking organizations and family offices are buying up gold and silver, then why shouldn't you do that? Okay, so if you want to check out the links that I'm going to put in here after the video is rendered, for example, I'm going to put some links about where you can buy gold and silver, for example, as well as the stock prices as well for the mining. but you need to seek legal advice, financial advice, because I am not a financial investor, for example. So I'm just telling you about the things that I've been looking at and what I've been watching over the years as well. And I will be going into some healthcare stocks as well, which is safe to go into as well. I just wanted to sprinkle some thought process about Canada and why Donald Trump seems to be after Canada, because I believe it's to do with their gold stocks. I believe it's to do with their gold mines. And I believe it's also political. So from what I could see, it is his mining agenda to have control over Canada, because I believe it is to do with the gold. But is this going to affect the value of the stock, of the gold? But you've always got to look at, when you go into things, as a long term, not something that is quick fix, fast, something that is long term, 5-10 years, because they always do balance themselves out, and some. But like I said, I am not a financial advisor, and you need to seek professional help from them, for example. But I'm referring to you just to give you some information, some insight, some awareness of what's going on, rather than us looking at all the bad things. Let's look at what we can do in our own lives to help support one another, because we have got the inflation going up. They're telling, they're saying you've got to start looking at getting stock in, you've got to buy things. Everybody's saying different things, so I want you to make it excuse me. One second. So I want you to make your own decision. Excuse me, I just got a dry throat there. And and I just want you to be able to think about all these different minds and what they mean, and is there anything that you're possibly interested in that you could look and do further investigation and research as well. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I do appreciate you. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Join me tomorrow as I talk about the Greenland as well, because I think it's important. It's a topic that is being brought to our attention, for example. So I'm going to give you some information on Greenland and what they have, stock wise, gold mines, minerals is huge. So join me tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with me this evening, and I hope that you've enjoyed what I've said to you so far, giving you food for thought, but also to look at planning, at building your wealth, growing your wealth portfolio, not just sticking with one thing. Look at multiple things to grow your wealth, for example. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to speaking with you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Take care. Thank you. Bye.